Thank you very much. Good evening. We'll call the Hawarden, Iowa City Council to order on Wednesday, January the 27th, 2021 at 5:35 p.m. All council members and staff are with us. Just a notation for council members, the resolution that is on the table is for agenda item number 6, the resolution 2021-09. I got some different wording that was from not in your packet, so but it was advertised early enough. So when we get that far, we'll ask Mike for some clarification with that, and then we'll get into discussion on general funds and enterprise funds tonight a little bit too. So. First standard agenda item is approval of the January 13th, 2021 council meeting minutes. You've had those in your packet since Friday. And a motion by Travis. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jen. All in favor then of the January 13th, 2021 city council meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? That passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Agenda item number 1B is claims for payment for tonight. I will start to my right with Tim for questions.
Nothing, thanks.
Travis, any questions?
None, thanks.
John?
None, thanks.
Jen?
No questions.
Rob, questions? Okay, is there a motion for claims for payment?
So moved.
Moved by Tim,
No second.
seconded by John. All in favor then of the January 27th claim for payment, say aye.
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 Those opposed? That again passes 5-0. Open business from the community. Eric, it's your opportunity. All right. Hey, thanks for being with us. I would appreciate it very much. Appreciate your coverage. Mayor's report is very short tonight. As you might have read, People's Bank will be making a new investment in our community with the new building. So we thank them and their board of directors and everyone involved with that, and we thank Larry for his participation, I believe, in helping with that process. So we look forward to that. Since River's Edge Bank dressed up the north side and a new bank on the other side, that corner is looking very nice. In the last 10 years, it's been transpired pretty well. So we thank them for their investment in our community. We'll move to staff reports, and we'll start with Mike tonight, please.
I don't have anything to report tonight.
Well, that's why we started, I guess. Jacob?
None.
All right. Hey, Jim, anything?
Boy, I hate to let you down, but none.
You didn't let us down.
I'm surprised.
Does anybody, how about Travis? We'll start with, maybe we'll get something out of Travis tonight.
I'd just like to update everybody on a couple of our employees that have been working towards their certifications that they need for their positions. Logan State, he's passed all his grade 1 requirements for wastewater, water distribution, and water treatment. So he'll begin working on his grade 2 in all 3 of those same areas. Once the state DNR has all his paperwork and certificates, he'll keep going up to get the required certificates. These grades are difficult to attain and take a dedication to achieve, studying and going to classes and taking the final test. So we appreciate his effort there. And the next is Alex Bresch. He's in his 3rd year of lineman apprenticeship program. Each year, the apprentice needs to do chapter tests and hands-on skills at their place of employment, and then a final test, and then hands-on skills at the Iowa Association of Municipal Utilities down in Ankeny. He also needs to track his work hours, whether he's doing underground, overhead, just basic lineman hours, and as well as anytime he's doing energized work on energized lines. So yeah, so many hours to get in each category to get his journeyman license. So
Good.
yeah.
Yeah, it's great that they're improving themselves for our good and their good, of course. And
Those are the only 2 that are working on certificates. Everyone else is
okay.
qualified in their positions.
And what is our part with that? How do we help them get there? I know logging all that type of information for Alex and,
Yeah, weekly he gives me his timesheet where it shows how many hours in each category. Then I send that down to the IAMU where they track it for us as well. Logan, it's just a matter of getting him signed up for classes. Last month, 2 months ago, he went down to Cedar Falls and took a 30-hour class down there.
Good.
So,
great,
yep.
appreciate their work. Thanks, Travis. Larry? Nothing. Should have called on you earlier. Corey, please.
Jacob, take note that Larry didn't have anything this time.
Take all the time you need.
Just wanted to touch base with you guys. I had Mike put a packet in your guys' report for the 2020 statistics. I tried to give you a lot of the information, and Mike told me I needed to sum it up for you guys as well. So we're implementing this record management software that has been here for a long time. We're trying to get a better itemized picture of what calls we need to proactively attack and just kind of analyze the data as it comes in so we can lessen everything. I guess that's the main goal. It's a good system. It's changed quite a bit. You can see in 2019 we had 1,281 calls, and this year we had 1,812 calls. So increase of 600. It's not because there's that much more going on. Some of it is because of that, but most of it is because now we're actually reporting everything that we have a call for service on and making sure that everybody is doing that. So that way we can monitor who's doing what, and it's nice to have that data in case we need to get a hold of somebody. Last night, for example, we had a dog that was at large and nobody could remember the name, and all we did was type in address, got the name, phone number, everything. And, different things like that really help out when we need to solve a problem in a hurry. If you look, I gave you some pages for our call types. They're highlighted in different colors. The magenta ones, they're the ones that we've added and are really trying to keep track of. We're more than happy to help out different departments. We help out the hospital when it comes to securing the helipad. We help out the ambulance whenever there's an ambulance call. Same thing with the fire department if there's a fire call. And they do the same for us if we have a traffic accident or anything like that. So it's a nice symbiotic relationship. But you can see in total we had an increase just in those categories of 290 different calls that we now started to track. So you can see we do a lot more than what we initially thought with agency assist. The highlighted ones in green, those are things that we've seen an improvement in compared to the last 2 years' numbers. I like seeing that we've only had one mental health committal. It's shown me that we have resources in the county and in the city that people can utilize to get adequate help and try to help them out so it doesn't get to that point. So that's a good thing. Domestic abuse, it was amazing for me to see. I think we had, 4 actual reports of it, and only 2 of them were founded cases. So that was really good, especially in this time with COVID. I know nationwide there's been an uptick in that. Same thing, harassments, thefts, stuff like that have all gone down. So that's something to be happy about. The call types in yellow, those are the ones that are just our calls for service that they're going to be there year in, year out, have been since Mike first started, and are probably still the same numbers as now. Animal calls, responses to fires, welfare checks, mental health calls, stuff like that. The ones in red, those are the ones that went up this year. There's a couple of them. We kept track of some of the fingerprints that we did. We started that, I think, about mid-June to try to see where we're at numbers-wise. I know we do a lot. We're the only one in the county that does fingerprints right now. So I just had a guy from Rock Valley here today that we did them. So the other one is vehicle lockouts. A lot of repeat offenders, 3-4 times in a year. It's nice, but it can be tiresome. The other thing is citizens' complaints. Some people see that and they're going, oh no, people are complaining. That's actually opposite of what we were going for. We want people to call in. We want people to let us know what's going on. You know, we all have to work together to figure out the community's problems. And if we don't have people tipping us off or telling us, you know, what's going on, it's not going to work in our favor. So we appreciate those calls, and there's no call too dumb. You know, I've heard, we had somebody call in 911 one time that they dropped their sunglasses in the drive-thru at McDonald's when I was working down in Crawford. I mean, just, there's weird things that happen, but we'll work our way through it. Noise complaints, I found that one to be kind of funny. I know there's a lot more people that are at home with COVID. You notice a lot more things now, and, you know, somebody you may have never thought was playing music at noon is now all of a sudden they like to rock out, and it just is a little annoying. So we've had a good response with talking to these people and explaining to them that, especially now with the pandemic going on, we got to be a little bit more concerned for our neighbors as well. And once again, like I said, we really love the assistance from the community. COVID-19 had a little effect on the department, not a lot. Mostly our health was good, so that is something that we can be happy for. We did see a lot more welfare check calls, people they may have moved away from Hawarden, but mom and dad still live in the community and haven't talked to them for a day or so. And, you know, you hear everything that's going on. And at one point, we had very high numbers, so people were scared and nervous. So we're more than happy to assist and go check on their loved one and have them get a hold of them and stuff. So we did see a lot of that. And with all of that, scams. Scams are just on the rise. If people are at home and somebody's calling and wants information, you don't know who they are, just don't give it to them. It's pretty hectic. Most of the time, it's just people kind enough to call us and tell us what kind of scam it is and how they were trying to talk to them. I think we only had one that they actually got into some trouble with it this year, so that was good. You can see there was 1,812 calls for service. 54 of those calls actually turned into an investigative case, and I guess the easiest way to describe that would mean that there was some sort of reasoning to turn it into a case that there was potentially going to be charges that followed that. Most of the time, we'll kick it back down to a call for service if it comes up being unfounded. 37 different people were arrested, and I think there was 87 or 90 charges, I think, total that we had. And they ranged from Class B felonies all the way down to misdemeanors. So, and there's some examples of some of the things that occurred. We did get some traffic complaints this year, which we appreciate. So then we decided to implement this STEP program. I know we spoke about it at one time. It's a program funded by the Governor's Traffic Safety Bureau. We go out and we increase our traffic efforts for certain weeks throughout the year. It's been very successful with our guys. Our guys have really done well when that happens. One thing that I really try to encourage, though, is that it's not just about traffic. When we pull somebody over, we want to make sure that there's nothing else going on besides that. So, you know, I really like to see that they're paying attention to everything else. As you can see, there was 5 arrests from OWIs, and then 12 other arrests for different crimes, just that they had found because they had made a traffic stop. So it's nice to see that they're able to do that as well. Only 100 tickets were written. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, or maybe it does, I don't know, but I know in the past it's less than normal, but I'm big on education. If I feel as if I can tell somebody not to do it and why, and they have a good grasp on it, then I don't feel as if I need to write that ticket. You know, it's not a revenue generating stream. It's more of a deterrent than anything. We only had 60 snow removal parking tickets last year, and that was good because the year before it was in the hundreds. And we didn't have near as much snow, I don't think, as that, but I think the number is even more down this year. So, but of that, they were paid, and $1,260 worth was brought in because of that. One sad thing that I didn't want to see last year was I finally wrote a nuisance abatement citation. Just it gotten to that point. We tried to help people out and get everybody to work, and we ended up writing some citations last year. And you know, I really wanted to show the community that we're willing to work with you if you're willing to, show us some sort of initiative. But once the steam gets out of the engine and there's no more, then we have to force it. So, other than that, I anticipate that, everything's going to go smoothly and go from there. And I'd entertain any questions.
Barking dogs.
Barking dogs,
Do we have a ordinance on that?
we sure do.
There's
Yep.
a couple out there that, I'm walking my dog a lot, and they're out every night, all the time.
Yep. In the way the code reads, we have to either hear it or somebody has to be offended by it. So, if you hear it and it's bothersome, let us know and we'll come down there.
I think it's more bothersome for the people that live next door to them.
Sure.
They're
Yep.
not gonna call you to tell you. But
Right, yeah.
I was just wondering if we had one or not.
Yep, we sure do. We sure do.
There seems to be a couple people that just store their dogs outside all year.
Yep, it's unfortunate. And, I guess me for one, I don't get to see a lot of the dogs outside and unless I'm out just walking around. But most of the time, the guys at night, they go right away and either get them to quiet up. And, sometimes that's waking them up at 3 in the morning and having them go get their dog and bring it in the house or in the shed or whatever it takes. But we try to get to stop right away.
Corey, you touched a little bit on property or nuisance abatement, so thank you for your efforts in that. Also, and you talked a little bit about citizen help, how can the local citizens be maybe more helpful for the police department and help secure our city?
First and foremost, just letting us know of anything that's going on. It's one thing to have somebody driving around and, they may not notice something that somebody that, lives down the block, they see it every single day, they're tired of it. Let us know so that way we can at least investigate it, see what, course of action we can take to get that taken care of. And they've been pretty good. We have all sorts of different ways that they can get a hold of us. The PD cell phone still works. If we can't answer it, it automatically gets forwarded to the sheriff's office, who will get a hold of us on the radio, and, we get a call back to them right away. So they shouldn't have to leave a message for anything. They can literally talk to a live person anytime they call that number. So, just letting us know and being cooperative and, helping us out is the biggest benefit.
Then, excuse me, one other question. I know a number of years ago, it's been quite a while ago probably already, that we've contracted with the city of Ireton to do their police coverage. Could you just give us an overview how you feel that's going from your perspective as our department and for them?
Sure. I feel it's going really well. On our end, we're definitely putting in the time. We're definitely putting in the numbers. When it was contracted last, I believe our minimum was 7 hours a week with a maximum of 9 hours a week. And we're blowing that out of the water. I think we're at 50 hours a month on average. So, the biggest thing is we have to be just as proactive in that stance as we do reactive. And I think going there during the daylight hours when people are out and about and they see that, they get that, sense of ease that, law enforcement is there. We're not just, reactionary and showing up when somebody calls and needs, immediate assistance. So, and I think the people that don't want to see us around are also seeing us around, which, is part of the point. So, I haven't had any complaints or anything from city council or the mayor or the clerk. We do keep a monthly tally, and I send that to them every month, and also do a yearly report for them, letting them know everything. And they pretty much like the call type stats that you guys got. That's what we produce to them every month with our actual hours that we put there as well. So, and I would say that the 50 hours that we put in over there a month, that's not even including mine. So if I'm over there, teaching something or having a meeting or whatever, a lot of the times those don't get put into those statistics. They go under admin. So it's definitely going out pretty well. I think if it if we put any more in there, they're going to be looking for more money to pay us. But other than that, it's looking good.
And that's a point well taken too. You and your department work well with Western schools and in education and being a part of that.
Yeah, and, it's a benefit two different ways. One, The community gets the benefit of us over there, but we also get the benefit of getting to meet people and know people and meet people that we really want to know that come over here, they use our businesses, and, you know, the kids in school, it's nice if we have something going on, we can just run over to Ironton and deal with it. And, you know, I think it's just a nice compliment to the services that we provide and getting to know everybody, because it is all one big district, so.
And lastly, you mentioned your squad, pretty healthy. We're thankful for that.
Yeah, no, everybody's doing
Well
good.
staffed at this point?
Yeah, fully staffed, and everybody's going good now. So.
Since I asked all the questions, anything else? Sorry, thank you for letting me expound on that a little bit.
No problem.
Thank you for the update.
What's that?
Thank you for the update. It's good to
Not a
know.
problem.
Thanks. We'll move on to council comments. Anything from council for staff before we move on? Hearing none, we'll move on to other agenda items. Number 3, discussion of a possible sale of property, 1005 Central Avenue. Used to be, I think, the Lindy Ross home there. We purchased that, tore it down, and give us an overview if you would.
We have somebody that's got a contract to buy the corner building at 1001 Central, fondly known as Gary Wilkerson's building. And the lot next to it, we tore a house down in 2012, dilapidated structure. The owners couldn't afford to take it down, so they signed the property over to us and we tore it down. We've got an offer from the same people that are buying the corner lot to buy that building, to expand the building that currently sits on that corner. What they would like to do is build to the north and put a production facility, and that's somewhere comparable in size to the building that's currently there. They offered $1,000 for the lot, which initially seemed kind of low, but they also talked about that they would forego any tax abatement on the improvements. I know they want to put some parking lot in the front part of it for their business, because the parking that's along Highway 10 is not only not sufficient, but it gets kind of dangerous when you're backing in and out of there all the time. So if council, I told them I would take it to council, and if you guys would entertain that, I will come back with the next meeting with order of publication and you for the sale. And then the following meeting we could complete it.
I'm all for it.
I noticed as I was sitting here, looks like the property line runs down the middle of the sidewalk for Hickory Techs. Isn't that Hickory? Well, it's not Hickory Tech anymore, but
Yeah.
I wonder if we should give them a little easement for their sidewalk like we do until, they replace it and make them move it north.
And I'm not sure, I don't think we've ever tried to locate pins there either, you're looking at the beacon?
Yeah,
Yeah, and,
they're usually closer than our,
right, the newer ones are closer than the older ones, so.
yeah, I don't know. That's, I guess we can just, let them take it subject to that too. I just thought, who's supposed to clean it, who's got liability if somebody falls on it. So,
Right, that sidewalk that you're talking about, the one that runs east and west?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is Hickory Tech sidewalk, or Creepiness.
I figured it was theirs, but
Yeah, yeah,
it looks like the property line runs a little bit more than down the middle.
Yeah. so, I mean, definitely something we could consider. The lot is 50 by 130, so it's kind of a narrow lot anyway. I guess when we tore down the house, then whoever kind of always envisioned somebody, if they bought that corner, that lot would be a nice addition for whoever bought the corner. The lot in and of itself, being 50 foot wide, really isn't wide enough for anything. And if we keep it, we'll just maul it. So, you guys are good with it? Jim will prepare me some paperwork, and we'll bring it back next meeting.
Only thing I'd like is just the parking lot part, to try to keep it away from the corner as much, so they don't have concentration.
And that's what
quite
they
a-
talked about, that both of those front yards, they would do a driveway off of Central for parking.
Yeah. Maybe if you had something, just a little drawing or something, so we could see that we're on the same page with that.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 4. This is Resolution 2021-08, resolution amending the schedule of fees. In the past years, we've always tried to keep up with fees and not have to really raise them greatly every 10 years or whatever. So if you'd give us an overview about this, Mike.
Everybody the red should be highlighted, those are the fees that we're talking about increasing or adding. I'll let Travis comment on any of the metered, unmetered, or distribution generation one, but before we do that, we increased our swimming fees a little bit. 2 years ago, when we increased them, we did a study of all the area pools, and our pool admission is very cheap, especially for our family passes and that. We increased them slightly just to try and work our way up to where we should be. This year, we put about $140,000 into the pool with the sand filters, and then we also discovered several leaks in the baby pool that we had to have fixed. As those, it's never going to pay for itself, but we do need to help recover some of those fees. So like the family pass was raised $10, all the other ones were raised $5. You'll see lap swimming must have a season pass. That's always been in there. Last year we had kind of a mix-up where people were just buying the $20 lap swimming pass and not the season pass with it. And the reason we charge $20 extra for that is normally the pool will close down at dinner time, and it'll also be closed until 1:30. With the lap swimming pass, they can come early and swim for an hour, or they can swim during that hour that they're closed down, and then we have to pay the lifeguards to stay there. So that's why the extra $20 fee. And then the fees on the bottom, the fingerprint fees and the vehicle unlock fee, Corey had touched on those at a previous council meeting. What we're seeing, and I saw it too when I was in the police department, is the fingerprinting. Everybody charges for fingerprinting. We never did. It was just kind of a service. And then more and more we saw people coming from Akron and Lamar's and as Corey said, Rock Valley today in Orange City because we were free. And then during COVID, everybody shut down. Nobody's doing them. And so we get a lot of people that come from all over because we're free and we're still doing them. So those fees were added. Travis, do you want to touch on the street lights? Or on
The lighting was in the electrical section. We just want to move over to the schedule of fees. So there's really no change in the pricing there. Distributed generation application. If you want to put solar generation up or windmill, there's quite a bit of paperwork that has to be done through the city and Missouri River Energy, which who manages we buy our electricity from. So talking with the other communities, they have a fee, so we just wanted to recoup some of that time and effort that it takes to do the paperwork.
We don't have a lot of that. I mean, we're not getting flooded with people wanting to do their own regeneration, but it's very time consuming. So
And it could be something in the future where it could become cumbersome. A lot of people start going that route. So just want something in place.
So those are the increases that we are recommending this year.
I make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second that?
Been a motion by Travis, seconded by John for the resolution 2021-08, amending the schedule of fees. Call for a roll call vote, please, Jacob.
Kurth,
Yes.
Bucky,
Yes.
Delhacker,
Aye.
Bergsman,
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
On a 5-0 roll call vote, Resolution 2021-08 passes. Staff, thanks for staying on top of the fees. Appreciate that very much. We'll move to discussion of the fiscal year 22 general fund and enterprise fund budgets, please.
So, this year's budget, the sheet that I originally gave you last week, the same as the one I gave you tonight. It's just kind of a constant flow. There's not a lot of differences, but I just wanted to go through and get some of the highlights. Unless you guys want to go line by line, then Jacob will order supper. Or myself. Normally, what we've been trying to do is keep our transfers to $300,000 out of utilities to offset the general fund. This year, we did find it necessary to raise those to $325 in order to fund everything in the budget. What helped us was there was some things we didn't fund, and then we added a couple things, and I'll go through those, but just a couple things that we added were, we added another $50,000 to streets to try and do either an overlay or something more than we've been doing just seal coating. We added $56,000 to the golf course, because what we do is we replace our equipment. We buy all the equipment, we own it, and replace it. It's never been budgeted for. It's always, when we get it, then we have to look and see where we can take it from. And it comes out of the equipment fund, but sometimes we might have dipped into electrics money, or we might have dipped into gas money or something like that. So we want to start making sure those things are budgeted. So that's why we found it necessary to do the $325. First couple budgets are about the same. We go to the police budget. Most of the increase you're going to see is salary and benefits. Health insurance was fairly good for us this year. And then we're adding technology service to most of the budgets. What we do is we contract with Catalyst Solutions for our IT service, and so we're dividing that out into the individual groups that use it. Fire services, we found it necessary again to raise their call fees a couple $1,000. They are just the increase in calls, or the increase of calls that come into here that would pay firemen $15 a call, so that's gone up. Ambulance, our ambulance is extremely busy, as we all know. They're on pace to get another probably 600 calls this year. As they're busier, it's harder on the personnel, but for money generation, they make more money. This year, we're looking at they're going to be self-sustaining because of the number of calls. It's good they're self-sustaining, but at the same time, when you have that many calls and volunteers, they're getting more out. So we got to kind of keep that in balance. But at this time, we raised their revenue to $200,000, their projected revenue to $200,000, because as we've seen in 1920 it was $215. 2021 they're on pace to make about $225. So we have also had to raise their through fees. They get paid so much a call. We also, the ambulance that they have, the new ambulance that's a 2015, we had them on an 8-year cycle. We're going to have to replace that this July. Right now it's got 90,000 miles on it. The old one's got 132,000 miles on it. By the time we hit July with the newer one, it's going to probably have 110 to 120,000 miles on it. So we're moving that up 2 years. So with the good part that comes with the ambulance being busy of money generation, there's also bad parts. So Jeff's holding it together really well. I got to give kudos to him. He has seemed to build that up. He's also helping Alcester, and he went from 8 members on that squad to right now they got 23 that are signed up either as drivers or people taking the EMT class. So Roadway maintenance, our revenue, our road use tax is gonna go down a little bit. They told us to project about a 10% decrease in that because of COVID, gas tax and things like that. We'll see if that holds true. You know, if more revenue comes in, they'll distribute more revenue. But then, like I said, we added the extra 50,000 into the streets for trying to do an overlay. Not sure that's gonna work very well. Golf course, of course, the rough, gets rough going. Very expensive mower. They bought a demo model, a new demo model, and so we were able to save probably 10 to 15,000 on that. So those are the highlights that I have in the general fund that are different. I would be more than happy to take any questions that anybody would have.
How much would you have to raise the levy if, instead of doing the 25,000 in the electrical transfers?
We'd have to raise the levy probably 48 to 50 cents per thousand.
Wondering if we should maybe consider doing that again instead of, because I thought we were going down with that usage last few years and stuff, and it kind of is a bad trend to switch back and go up again. Is that feasible that we do that instead, or?
We could, I mean, we could raise the tax levy, which would basically essentially be, you know,
mean,
raising
you're-
the taxes, but.
One way or the other,
Right.
somebody's gonna pay for it sometime in the
Right.
city and stuff, so it's,
I mean, we can definitely look at that.
I don't know what the other guys' thoughts are on that, but I know we're trying to cut everything we can and stuff, but.
I mean, there gets to be a time where, you know, everything is expensive. And, you know, you try and hold things down. So there's different ways we can do it.
Well, I'm just thinking I'd rather see, I mean, an honest raise than that instead of, I mean, because in theory, we'd like to sometime get away from doing this transfer stuff and keep the money in the, that's how, you know, I mean, that's what we've been working on for, what, 10 years at least? And I don't know. Maybe it's a bad time to raise taxes, but. Anybody else think?
Let me think about it. I mean, I don't know what I think right now, but yeah, I don't like increasing transfers all the time either. It's kind of like we put the last 3 years backwards if we're start doing that too, so.
Yeah, at some point you put the electric in a bad position, but I don't know that we're getting there yet.
And actually, our additional transfers right now, it's wastewater.
Right.
That we're getting pulling the other 25. And if we were gonna reduce our transfers, that's where we would put that one back.
Okay.
Electric generally is in that 250, 2 years ago was 300,000. Gas was 0. Last year, I think we were at 250 from electric and 50 from gas. Fortunately, you know, those utilities are in fairly good shape. Our community valuations are low compared to a lot of other communities. That puts us kind of behind the 8 ball with our tax levies, or with our taxes that we can collect. When you look at our property taxes just alone, we collect $448,000 in property taxes. And if you look at everything we spend out of the general fund, that wouldn't fund the police department. So we have to rely on our transfers. We're fortunate that many years ago, somebody had the idea to start our own utilities. They'll probably always have to be used to supplement the general fund. If you want to have a pool, if you want to have a golf course, if you want to have parks and playgrounds and summer rec. There just is not enough property tax money there. Unless we get a big building boom where we got all kinds of new houses and businesses, our evaluations are probably gonna remain somewhat low. You guys think about the general fund, I'm gonna have Travis go through the enterprise fund.
One thing on roadway, just to, we are gonna crush concrete that's over at the, pile, that drop-off area.
Could you come to the podium? Just because, I know when you watch TV, you really
Sure.
having somebody talk out in the corner.
Yep, the concrete pile that's down at the tree drop-off and the grass and leaf drop-off area, we're gonna crush that this year at $4.65 a ton. And you compare that to Class A that we're using on the alleys, that's $20.55 a ton. So we can save considerable money there. And we're gonna crush it a little smaller than they did last time. They had a little trouble with the rocks being a little larger, but we're gonna go a little smaller this time. I think we'll get considerable savings using the crushed concrete on some of the alleys. And still do the seal coat as well. So that, you'll see where I dropped the supplies and minor equipment, 10,000 to make up that difference for what we're gonna crush that concrete and reuse it instead of Class A. And jumping over to enterprise. Water utility, you'll see increase in the new rates for revenues. And then scroll down to the expenditures. There's an increase in
We had a maintenance plan.
Oh, there it is.
for the
Yep.
Water tower, about 30,000. That's just a budget number. Talking to him last week, it's gonna be closer to 25. We do a maintenance plan on the water tower, we pay that every year, and then when it comes time to paint it, that money is like saved up and used.
Those were the major changes. You can see down below capital outlay projects we have planned. And the dollar amount there.
You see, we're projecting a $65,000 revenue versus expenditures in that. We're about 280,000 negative in the fund balance, so this is gonna start helping us get back out.
Moving to sanitary sewer. A little bit of change in the sale of special sewer systems. Those are the E1s. The price of those have just been keep going up. They're about $9,000 a piece right now. So we always put one of them in there. And what I really like to see is in expenditures, utility services, anticipating at least a $30,000 savings on the utility service at the wastewater treatment plant because of the way we put those new motors in and the VFD drives. So that'll be substantial for the sewer system. We kept supplies same. We went down on capital outlay projects, and a lot of that's due to, we just redid the plant, so there's the motors and the pumps and everything's new. So you'll see down below in the capital outlay projects, we still want to keep the clean sewers. The blower building, that's the old building they were going to tear out and remove. We'd like to replace it with just a stick-built tin shed for storage. It's got good concrete foundation, so that's the 10,000 there. Never have enough storage. Just And then we'll, yep, continue paying the principal and interest on the project. Electric utility. You'll see a decrease in the revenues for the wastewater treatment. You know, unfortunately, you save in one area, you lose it in the other, but as far as expenses, they stayed pretty much the same. We did include a $10,000 contractual service. We have new breakers, I call them new, they're 15 years old already, in the switchgear building. They need to be maintained 8 to 10 years. It's been 15, so something we need to get in the budget and get on that maintenance plan as well.
Big thing in electric is the new AM metering that Travis brought a couple meetings ago. That's projected at $260,000, and that is in that budget. That'll all be just taken out of one budget here.
Yeah, otherwise it's pretty close to the same as last year. Gas utility. Not a whole lot of changes or increases there. Miscellaneous revenue. Now that we've joined PIFA, we're seeing some of that refund coming back to us, so that's a nice revenue that wasn't always there. Capital outlay. We aren't going to do any major line replaces this year. We want to start replacing 750 diaphragm meters. They're the larger ones that are commercial and industrial, and they need to be tested every 8 years to get the diaphragm, make sure they're reading the right way. These new sonic meters they don't need to be tested because they're ultrasonic, just a different way they read the gas flow, and they do a lot better at lower volume all the way up to the high volume. So by replacing those, less maintenance overall. And then there are some mainline valves that need to be replaced. Over the years, they won't turn. So they go exercise them every year, and they make note, hey, this one's getting hard to turn, or we can't turn this one all. So some of those are going to be replaced to the plastic. Solid waste is virtually the same. It is the same. Hopefully, we're getting close to the contractual services. Barclay Lamar, we had to raise that to get more testing done more often so they can get a good baseline so we can actually close the landfill. It's closed now, but it's not really closed. We still have to test it and maintain it and make sure there's no leaks from that solid waste underground. You'll see capital outlay. We did have to, there's 7 test wells out there, and 2 of them they need to refurbish and put new pumps in because they're getting a dry reading. So just a way to clean out the bottom, put a pump in so they get a more uniform reading. It's too concentrated right now to get a good baseline. So just something that has to be done to continue our post-closure. And that's it for.
We're going to telecom admin. That's down. That whole budget is paid by cable, internet, and phone utilities. Went in. So we were able to bring that down, and that covers like Chris salary and some utility service for the different boxes out in the field, billing prep fees. We pay a third-party vendor for our billing on that. Telephone utility, that's virtually going to be about the same. Our revenues are going to be down a little bit as we continue to lose customers and reimbursements from the federal government on the phone side. Our revenues will continue to decrease. We try to keep our expenditures as close as we can, and you can see that we're projecting a loss in telephone. We go over to the cable utility, which is also internet, and their revenues, we think are going to hold steady. Internet revenues will probably increase a little bit. The expenditure part is going to be down. We took that down about 48,000. Just taking, we took Mike Miller used to get paid out of there. He's primarily gas anymore, and so we moved him out of there. So we are projecting a revenue over expenditures on that. And that generally runs that way, and then what happens is the revenue, the over revenue, cable internet, mail out the phone. Offset. So that's kind of the general fund and the utilities budget. Anybody have questions, changes, something else they want to see?
Our contract with Orange City Sanitation, pretty much staying the same?
Yes, yeah. Had a conversation with Brad today, and he's going to come to the first meeting in February. He's got his contract's up in May, it's 2 years, but he does have an option to add another year, which he's expressed that he wants to. He wants to come talk to the council before he commits to that, to see how council and staff think they're doing, as well as things he's seen. He wants to talk a little bit about toters in the future, so then they can, once we get everybody on board with that, and he's not talking about right away, but once we get everything on board with that, they would go to an arm truck to come in and do the garbage service in town. So, and he's talking about, I'll let him explain it, but I'll explain it first. He's talking about buying the toters and then basically customers rent them. And right now they're $1.35 a piece, so if you want one for garbage, one for recycling, like I have mine at home, and I just pay Orange City Sanitation. He would like to see that drop somewhere in the $2 range and then put on the bill, and then the city pays him. But he continues to own them, so say the lifespan is 10 years on them, so say 5 years down the road, you get a hole in yours, and then he comes and replaces it, and it's still the same amount every month. So he's going to go further in depth in that at the next meeting.
Also on our table tonight was the Sioux River Historical Society Annual Report for 2020, and that's something we budget some to.
Yes, we normally budget about $7,000 a year for that. One's a contribution and one's for capital projects that we just send to the Big Sioux River Valley Historical Society. I've had a conversation with Tim on that, and he felt that their reserves and stuff were built up enough at this point that they wanted to forego that this year. So, you know, that everything helps. So we appreciate their effort in doing that for all that they do out there. We do have some money remain in there for the utilities of the building and things like that. But that was a $7,000 savings. We do have rides in the budget yet, even though they're not operating right now. They plan to operate. So
When that guy comes through town, what's he doing then? I mean, you see a rides vehicle come through here several times a day, it seems like. I thought it was
Yeah,
back.
I don't know if, from what I understand, they haven't started up. They haven't told me they started up unless they're, they transit people to different areas too.
Yeah.
Is that the little van?
Huh?
The little van?
Well, it's bigger than a little one, but it's,
I saw a little, I got a pretty small van the other day parked up.
but anyway, I've seen that one too. And I'm out with the dog a lot. And they're driving through here.
Yeah.
I don't know what, I thought they were starting.
As far as I know, they have not yet. She was gonna let me know when and if they started back up this year. Their target really is July again.
Do
The
they drive?
driver,
Do they
have
take people to
so-
Sioux Falls?
They will.
I'm just wondering if that's what they're, on their way.
Could be for appointments or whatever.
Other questions for staff or comments about enterprise or general fund at this point? Okay, well, we'll keep in mind
Yeah.
Tim's
One
thoughts
question
and,
before we get to the next agenda item, though, would be on the levy. Would you rather leave the transfer in or raise the levy? Because on the next agenda item, we have setting our max budget levy. And if we're gonna change that, we have to table that next item. Because once we set that,
Can't go back,
You can't go
you
back.
can't go over it.
I-
If we pass the max levy tonight, we can't raise it again
we're
without
actually,
redoing it.
we're actually just ordering the publication.
Yeah. So we'd have to do another publication to redo it.
Table it.
And then we only have a buffer of about one meeting.
Yeah, we figured one meeting in there for anything that changed, so, I mean, we have time, it's not that that's an issue, but.
Okay, so have we officially moved on to that or not?
Well, we're still kind of on the budget.
Okay, well, I'm okay with
I
tabling
just
it.
need to know if you guys want us to refigure the levy and take the extra transfer out, or if you want to leave it as is. But we have time to do either, but if we do the extra levy, then we'll table number 6.
Well, I'd like
So
to-
we have to make the decision tonight?
Unless you want to table number 6, but we need the decision to set the max levy.
we have, if we were to table the resolution, we can still have discussion on the levy amount.
At the next meeting, and then we would set the max levy after that.
Is that maximum levy and you can levy less?
You can levy less, but not more.
So you could up that levy, but then decide to go ahead with the transfers and ultimately have a lower.
We would just have to refigure what that would be.
Okay, so let's do that. Then we at least have the option to discuss it at the next meeting.
So the next meeting, I'll bring it back with both ways,
Yeah.
with the extra transfer in and with it out and the levy rate. And then we can pick. All right?
Sure.
Got it.
And does that then table the resolution 2021-09?
We have to officially table it.
Right.
Right, once you go to that.
Okay. Any further discussion on fiscal year '22 general fund and enterprise fund budget?
Good work.
Okay. That being said, that leads us to agenda item number 6. We've had discussion about levy and transfers out. Is there a motion to table agenda item number 6, resolution 2021-01? Been a motion by Tim. Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Travis. Need a roll call vote to table a resolution? Okay.
Voice vote.
Okay, been a motion by Tim, a second by Travis to table agenda item number 6. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Right?
Aye.
Those opposed? That is tabled at this point for the next meeting. thank you for those discussions on the general budget, and thanks to the staff and council for your attentiveness in doing that and looking that over. We're still waiting, I understand, from the Hawarden Regional Healthcare. They meet tomorrow night, so we're putting the cart before the horse yet, so.
That's on there just in case something would be
Okay. Does anyone want to spend more time and talk about it until we hear what they have to say?
No.
Okay?
Because realistically, any change would be later in the year, and the hopes of adjusting budgets based on that is totally on a whim right now.
You know, we still have another week if
Right. But we'd still have a long timeline for actually getting that in place, though, correct?
You know, when we talked about it this fall, one of the things that was brought up was, well, we already have our budget in place, you guys have your budget in place, so let's start this July 1st.
Right.
If we do it. Well, I talked to one of the board members and I reminded him of that, and I said, now we're doing our budgets again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you should wait till another July 1st to do it. That's when they said they meet the 28th and they try and come up with something. We did have the last offer out on November 2nd. We sent an offer out. Really haven't heard officially one way or another on that. And I got an email from the hospital administrator last week with a copy of that offer saying that this is the offer that you guys talked about. So don't know if that'll be brought up or not. I know they meet tomorrow night at the hospital.
We have no consent agenda items for agenda item number 8, which leads us to adjournment. Our next regular meeting will be February the 10th. Anything else for the good of the Hawarden City? Is there a motion for adjournment? Moved by Tim. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jen. Thank you. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? I didn't think so. Thanks for being here.